Hi y'all, it's that time of year again when it starts getting dark earlier and the cold settles in, and there's always a good night to sit around a table with a bunch of people and play a good board game. And my favorite board game has always been Monopoly. Monopoly's been around since the 1930s, and there are literally hundreds of special versions of it. And recently, our Walmart got stocked up with a version that was very unique to our area. We have Berea Monopoly, and this is going to be the first time I've opened this, and we're going to take a look and see how accurate it is to town. So here's the board. Get it unfolded. It's probably not going to lay flat real good where it's new. Good Lord. Oh, let's turn this thing around. I know how to play. There it is. Let's take a look at some of these spaces on the board. Pretty fitting. We've got this skating rink. It's hard to have grown up in Berea and not spent a lot of time at the skating rink. I practically grew up there when I was growing up. I was there pretty much every Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, and sometimes on Wednesday nights. Then we have this Boone Bridge Festival, of course. Property taxes. That's actually really high for our property taxes. For the railroads, looks like we've got the main streets in town for the railroads. We got Prospect Street, Chestnut Street, Estill Street, and Main Street. Main Street's not really a main street. It's very short. Let's move on down. We got the L&N Depot. That is actually the Welcome Center in town. We've got the Urban Farm. That's not far from the depot. Indian Fort Theater. A lot of people know that place. Some of y'all watching this have probably been there. Traffic Jam. That's basically Chestnut Street in the middle of campus, or where Glades Road and 1016 come together. That's about the only places we have traffic jams, unless the interstate shuts down. Apollo Pizza, Police Department, Papalenos, and the Tavern, of course. Gemmin' on the Porch, that takes place every Thursday evening in Old Town, and that's where everybody can come bring their instruments and they just have a big public jam session. The Greens at Churchill, formerly Berea Country Club. Berea City Park, that's the great big park with all the ball fields. So I'm noticing some differences from a regular Monopoly all of a sudden. This should be free parking, and instead they just left Berea. I also noticed on the opposite side, so in Berea Monopoly, there's no jail, which is kind of funny. We don't have a jail in town. So instead of jail, you get stuck in a traffic jam. That's interesting. So we have the big schools, Madison Southern High School. It's where I graduated from. Berea Community, that's the spaceship-looking school. And the college. Got Spotlight Playhouse, that's the community theater. The Artisan Center, Fire Department, and the Craft Festival, where I work. And then finally down the back side, we've got the Boone's Trace Trail, Owsley Fork. Y'all have seen that in plenty of my videos. The Pinnacles, College Square, and the Artisan Village, which is Old Town. Those two take up the Boardwalk and Park Place spots. So the money for this one is pretty plain. I expected to see John G. Fee or Daniel Boone on these things, but they're just kind of a generic money design. Now, see what these playing pieces are. We've got a heart, which I guess is appropriate. I've known a lot of people have heart attacks. A pretzel, which is really, really strange because we're not necessarily known for our German population here. A shoe, I guess that's fitting because people here walk a lot. What is that? A dog. Meh. The hand, of course, because we have all of our hands around town. And a big smile. Some pretty straight teeth. So that's our Berea Monopoly that came out not too long ago. And, you know, it is fairly accurate. Some of the things are questionable. The pretzel was a little odd. I don't even know where you can buy a pretzel like that in town. This really got me thinking, if I were to come up with my own Monopoly board, what would I do? And I think mine would be Appalachian themed. I present Appalachialopoly. Appalachialopoly. That word in the middle. I figured the regular old Monopoly pieces were just fine for this themed Monopoly game. I mean, think about it. There's an old shoe, an iron, a thimble, a wheelbarrow. Pretty Appalachian. For the cards in the middle, I stuck with chance just because I like tradition. But for community chest, I made them the Dollar General store because, let's face it, those things are everywhere and you never really know what you're going to get. So to get us started, we have, instead of go on, pronounced as one word because that's how we say it in the mountains. Go on. Moving on down the board, you see some familiar landmarks. And then, instead of income tax, I felt more appropriate to have income tax return. And you have to give $100 to the nearest Walmart because that's really where most of our income tax returns end up anyway, right? For the railroads are a big deal in the mountains. I use CSX, R.J. Coleman, Norfolk Southern, and of course, the Dollywood Express. Moving on down the board, we have North Carolina landmarks and chance until we get to the jail. But you know, nobody really visits jail anymore as much as they end up going to put money on the books. Now we start into the West Virginia section, which is purple. And instead of the power company, I just called it the lights because that's pretty much what we call it, is the lights. When there's a storm, nobody says the power went out or the power came back on. We say, are the lights out? Did the lights come back on? Down in the Tennessee section, of course, I've got the Sun Sphere. You have to, because if you're traveling Tennessee on I-75, you see that thing. And of course, pals. For free parking, I just changed it to scenic overlook because we have a lot of scenic overlooks in the mountains and it just made more sense than free parking because where can you park for free anywhere anymore? Right here's the Kentucky section. It's red, which I'm sure is going to make some Wildcat fans upset. Down here's the Virginia section. For water, I put the TVA for obvious reasons. We have go to jail, moving through the Georgia section, down past the Dollywood Express. Luxury tax. Ain't nobody in the mountains paying no luxury tax. None of us live in luxury. So I made it instead of a luxury tax, you have to pay the pawn shop payment. And then for the two most expensive spots on the board, Gatlinburg and the Biltmore Estate. So there it is. Now you tell me, what is your favorite board game or card game to sit around the table and play during the long, dark, cold fall and winter nights? Let me know in the comments. As always, I really appreciate everybody watching. Take time to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon.